first time I died, I was crossing the street in Costa Mesa, California, and a motorcycle hit me doing 65 miles an hour. This, you can barely see it now. There's a scar right here, but this whole side of my face has been rebuilt. And I was DOA. The accident happened down the hill from a hospital, and but they didn't have a trauma unit, so I went to, that was pronounced DOA there, and then they medevaced me to Fountain Valley General, where they also pronounced me DOA. I heard a voice said, "Do you want to go back?" And I remember being really, really scared, like you just got busted by your parents with your hand in the cookie jar, and it's like they're going, "What are you doing?" "Oh, nothing." Anyway, so this voice goes, "Do you want to go back?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "Why?" And I said, "Because there's too many things I got to do." And he said, "Like what?" And I said, "Like play music, make people happy, and teach them how to love each other." I mean, everything in my life rotated around music. It's all I thought about. And, I thought about going on tour and playing in front of crowds and doing the autographs and doing the picture shoots and doing the videos and the whole 9 yards. And, that's what I lived day and night for a very long time.
I was there when he practiced. I would set him challenges. We'd find a piece of music and I'd tell him something like, "Well, I'm not really going to be impressed until you can play this." So of course he'd say, "Okay, fine." The next day he'd say, "Okay, here it is." And it was perfect. He was a very, very good musician. Everett and I would talk on the phone almost every other day. And he would tell me how things were going in Santa Barbara, how he was still pursuing his music career. And he had met some more friends that were into the music thing too. So he was putting together a demo tape to have an agent in LA check out for him. So he called me one night, several days before the accident, and said, "We're done with the demo, we're going to take it down to LA. Let this guy listen to it and let us know what's going to happen with it."
One morning he calls me up when I was in Isla Vista, and he goes, I found a record executive with an independent record company that liked what you had to play and wanted you to come down to Hollywood the next day to sign a contract." And I was like, "Whoa, really?" Well, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, buddy, man. Finally, after all these years, we drink beer all day long." 2 o'clock in the morning, his roommate says, "Look, man, we got finals in the morning. Can you take it somewhere else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, no problem." I was a happy drunk that night, I guess. And I was like, "Yeah, we'll go down to the ocean, man. Can't make too much noise down there." So we came down the stairs, and then started to go down the rest of the stairs, but it was high tide. As you can probably tell, it hits here quite often. And it took a couple steps, saw that it was high tide, and was like, "Oh man." So we came back up here to the platform to come up with another game plan. And I sat up on the corner. And I slipped forward in a drunken stupor. And my producer said, "Don't sit up, you're gonna fall." My last words to him were, "I ain't gonna fall, and if I do fall, I'm gonna live through it anyway." Fell over backwards. The last thing I remember is being upside down thinking, "Oh man, there's nothing to grab onto." Man.
I could not stop screaming. The nurses and doctors had to come in and take me out of the room. I didn't know that he had actually died until weeks later. I don't think the doctors wanted to tell me that while I was still freaking out.
When I saw that gold pinpoint of light, I knew what it was. It was amazing because things happen so instantaneous. You know things. Nobody can tell you anything different about it. That was one of those things. I saw that point of gold light, and I was like, "No, I'm not ready." Before the accident, I was more on the road of, I wanted the big house and Montecito and, material possessions and all that. And after the accident, it's like, my ego was torn down completely. About 4 months after being in the hospital, one day I just got a brilliant flash of clarity or something where I just realized it's like, well, or maybe I was given a question or something where it was like, okay, how do you want to, what kind of part do you want to take in this? Do you want to play victim? And oh man, why does this stuff always happen to me? And then I'd make myself miserable and make everybody around me miserable because then I'd be mean and nasty. Or I can look at it as like take responsibility for it. Realize that it was my fault. If I hadn't been drinking, I wouldn't have fallen off the cliff. Plain and simple as that. Jody House is actually a place that, you go to the hospital, of course, they put you back together. Then you go to rehab, which you sort of we learn how to use everything, like movement, talk, speech, and cognitive, but then after rehab, there's nothing. It's like you're out in the world. And some brain injuries are so severe, like mine was, that there's no way you could survive in society.
When I first met him, I think it was the very, very low of his life. And frankly, it was not a pretty thing. You thought, because I didn't know who he was, I didn't know his spirit, I thought this person wasn't going to bounce back. But he did. He did, and you see him. He has a sparkle in him. He has light in his eyes. He talks to people. He has many friends. He helps a lot of people. So he bounced back in a fabulous way, and not because of his own will and strength. He has a lot of it.
I could see his recovery. Every weekend that I went down, I could see more and more of his recovery. So that gave me a lot of hope for his future. I was very worried about what kind of mental state he would be in when he woke up. The doctors warned me too. It's like, he's probably not going to be the same person. No. I don't know how he still kept it in his head because he didn't have access to keyboards or any other musical equipment. But he just knew. He knew, I used to be a musician, I'm going to be a musician again. And he was really determined, and he has been ever since the day he walked out of there.
There's a lot of different ways I could see it. I could have really made it big, been real popular, been the next thing. Or, I could have got tied in with some people that were like totally druggies, or, there's all kinds of shit that I saw you can get involved in the music industry, And, so I don't know. It's like I could see both sides, I could see a really positive side and a really negative side, So, but all in all, I'm glad it happened, And I've always said that, that I'm really glad it happened.